I have talked about my desktop iMac computer and my iPad tablet. So I decided today I would talk a little bit about the Apple Watch because just kind of staying in the ecosystem. But this was another product that when I got interested in purchasing it, I wanted to know, was it going to work for my specific visual impairment? There are a lot of accessibility features on different devices. I find that different people's assessment of what will work for a visual impairment is going to depend on what visual impairment you are assessing that by. So, for instance, those of us who have albinism, we kind of know that our visual impairment is a little different than, just say age regression or, different kinds of things that could be going on. And it's hard to find reviews about specific things so that you know how it relates specifically for your needs. So that's what this video is going to be about in relation to the watch. So this is the Apple Watch Series 7. I've had it for almost a year and a half, maybe close to a year and a half. And so it is not the first Apple Watch I had. I think I started with the Apple Watch Series 2 or 3. And I had the larger size of whatever that one was. This one happens to be the 45 millimeter. I definitely recommend getting the bigger size. I probably don't have to tell you that. But as you can see, it's a fairly good size watch. Different watch faces are going to be a little bit easier, more difficult, what have you. This one is nice because it does not even have numbers. You don't have to worry about being able to see numbers. This is a watch face that is very much the way I normally see things, where if I'm looking at a clock, most of the time I cannot see numbers anyways. So I kind of look at the relative position of things. So this watch face is great for that. But we'll talk about watch faces a little bit later on. So I'm going to show you some of the features that you can do on here. So this is your menu. Again, I'm only going to show you features that are related to vision. There's a lot of features on here that you can really dive into, but I wanted to focus on the vision ones. Again, there's a lot of videos that have, showing a lot more about them. And if you want me to go into more detail, I can, but I wanted to focus on the things that are not out there as much. So we're going to come into settings, and you can either do this with your finger, or you can use they call it the digital crown, this little scroll thing here. So you can scroll that up and down. So we have accessibilities. You're going to notice that a lot of these features are going to be the same as what you have seen on both the computer and the tablet. That's one thing I do like about Apple is their features within the ecosystem are really across the board, which is nice because if you have figured out how to do some things on one device, then when you get a new device, it's a little bit less intimidating. You almost don't have to completely learn a brand new device. There's going to be a lot of similarities from one thing to the other. So we see here in accessibility some of those same things. You have voiceover, you have Zoom, you have a handful of things. Now, and we have text size here. So I have it maxed out. This is the largest text size. I find it big enough. It could be a little bit bigger. It would be helpful. I can read it though. This is bold text. Again, that really helps make it stand out. So I really like having that on. So I'm going to show you this zoom feature because I've talked about zoom feature on other devices, but I don't necessarily use them on all of my devices. It depends. Now I use it on this from time to time. Not very often, but I have it enabled so if I need to use it, I can. Because this is a fairly small screen. So with this, and you can see a description, but you can double tap to activate it. Now, if you have seen Zoom be used on other things, like I've showed you kind of a few different ways that Zoom works on some of the other devices, but for this, one of the main ways that you navigate around a screen is pushing and holding and moving the screen around on some devices. That's going to be tricky to do on here because this is very small. So what they have done on here is you double tap to activate it. And then if you notice up here, the green section is the part that this is actually showing you. The gray section is the total space. So I use this and it scrolls it up and down, like from left to right, top to bottom. And it just takes you like a grid style through that screen as you scroll through. And you can tell by the green section up there in that top right corner, it's showing you how it's systematically going through so that you can see the whole section, and then you can read everything without having to put your fingers on there and covering up what you're trying to read, Now, the other thing I'm going to show you is that, let me get to a section where you'll be able to see it. I mean, that really is helpful. Now, you can adjust how much zoom this is by pushing twice, tapping twice, but on that second tap, you're going to hold it, and then you're going to slide up and down on the screen. So, oops, I didn't tap the first time. Oops. Okay, come on. So, you have to do it kind of quickly, but you can see just how much it zooms. So you can set it at whatever zoom amount you want, and, so that it's more accommodating to you to do what you need it to do. So, and then to deactivate it, you just double tap. So that's a really handy feature on the watch because it is a smaller surface. And if you just leave it activated, then you can just tap on the screen when you need it. So that's helpful. So that's Zoom. You can also do voiceover. You can have your watch tell you what time it is in a couple of ways. I'm pretty sure, and it might be on the newer one, but I'm pretty sure you can even tell it, like haptically, it will tell you what time it is so that you don't have to do it audibly, because you can have it set where you can tap on your watch face like twice or something and it tells you the time. That's not always convenient. Okay. Now, display and brightness. Again, you have brightness, you have text size. So this is kind of a lot of those same things that we've seen on different devices. Right now, I have my app view set at list style. I'll show you what grid looks like. I don't personally like grid because, this is also referred to as the honeycomb. In a way, this can be helpful because you can recognize, like if you're like me, you probably recognize the picture of the icon more than you do read the name. So do you really need the name written there? No. That's Messenger, that's Mail, that's Fitness, that's Maps, you know what I mean? Weather, Messages, Camera, WhatsApp, so there's a lot of things you can do, but I like being able to have the list because it's a little bit easier. It takes less time to find it. If you did it enough, you would get familiar as to where it is. But now the other thing that is, we should look at just a little bit here is your texts, because I know you're thinking, I need to know, can I read my messages? Now the thing about messages Let me learn my alphabet and go the right way. So the thing about messages is, can you read them? Okay, so texting on the watch is really not going to be a super easy thing to do, but I'm going to show you how you can do it. So in this conversation, one thing I will say, okay, this contrast here, the green with the white letters, I can barely read that. However, that's what I said, so I'm not that worried about it. I need to read this. I can kind of read that. Like, that's not too bad to read. The contrast is good. So, but they have automatic responses here where it kind of figures out what it is that you have responded, what the other person says, and what potentially you might want to respond. So there's some automatic responses here that you can just go ahead and send, and you don't have to worry about it. But let's say there's not an automatic response there. First of all, you can actually set automatic responses. You can go into settings, or you can go into the messages app. I'll show that to you. But you can set some automatic responses. If there's certain phrases that you say all the time, or, certain things like that you want to be able to say quickly. Now, if you tap here, you can go ahead and do your response. That keyboard is not very easy to type on. I have done it. It's not terrible. It's not because of vision that it's difficult. It's more just because of the size. You know what I mean? But, so you can still type there if you want to. But I find the microphone thing to be the easiest. Because truthfully, if I'm tapping on my Apple Watch, it's probably because my phone is not right there, and I just want to send a quick response. If I'm going to sit and do a lengthy text, I would just get my phone. Or I'd say something really quick, and then, like, I'll text you in a bit. Something very simple. So I'm just going to show you how the dictation works on here. So I'm going to tap the microphone, and I'm going to go ahead and text this person. I am doing a video about using my watch. So feel free to send a response for my video. See? So I just sent that text message. And it's really handy also because, I can't really read a lot of what's happening. And I will say for this video, it's a little bit tricky because I'm holding the watch further away from me than if it was on my wrist. Because when it's on your wrist, you can hold it like a foot away from your face. This is like arm's length away because I have the camera between me and in the thing. So we're going to see if she responds. I didn't tell her I was doing this ahead of time, so we'll see. But, I can send these quick responses. So let me see if I can, okay, see, there we go. So she has responded, and I can see that. And then we have quick responses that we could send. And you see that the, awesome, she did an emoji, shows up really nicely. But I don't know if you were paying attention to some of the quick responses, but you can see that some of them have changed. This good idea has popped up. So it's kind of smart enough to know how to kind of adjust for that. So let's see, what can we text her back? I'm going to try doing the keyboard so I can show you. And you notice there was that suggested word there. So, but I was able to do that. Even on the keyboard, I was able to do that. Now, I will say, I think that having some of the earlier texting phones where the bigger keyboard and stuff was not a thing, probably has helped me in that area, because that's not as difficult as it seems like it should be. I mean, you know, I started texting back when it was just a flip phone. So this, we started getting the slider phones, the BlackBerry, some of those things that had the little slide out keyboards and things like that. They were really small keyboards. So, and that's kind of where I started when it came to texting. So, okay, so we see in text messages that that's kind of what this looks like. Something else I wanted to talk about is the watch faces. So this is my watch face. So if I push and hold on this watch face, I have a couple of options. I can edit this watch face. So I can slide, gives me the option to kind of change the colors, slide again. So this is where you can add complications. So if you want to be able to have quick access things on the front of your watch that you want to be able to get to without having to go through the menu and things like that, you can add them on there as complications. So different watch faces. These are watch faces I have saved on my phone. So, I mean on my watch. And some of them are easier to read than others, but I have them for different purposes. So, but right here you can add watch face. Now I'm showing this to you because when I show you on my phone, you're going to see that you can do a lot of the same stuff there. So I can kind of scroll through here and see all kinds of watch faces that I can pick from. It is nice to be able to do it directly on the watch, because then you can tell whether or not you can read it. But then once you pick one, you can be very, if I were to edit this one. So whenever you go in here and you're editing it, you can slide it around. And when you're in each section, you can make changes. So, whichever method you like it to look. Okay. Oh, there it is. That's really big, really bold. Whatever you want it to look like. Oops. So then I can change the colors, which is nice because A, you have that personalization, but then B, you can, let me see if I can figure out where I was at. There we go. I think this is, because it was at the bottom. So you can make it whatever color is easy to see. You can make it, whatever you want it to be. So this is what that actually looks like. So you have the big 8, but what I like to do is have multiple watch faces on my thing. All you have to do is push and hold, and then you can just slide to do whichever one you want. This is a cute one. When you tap on it, he kind of like interacts with you a little bit. He's very cute. So this one's kind of cool, but honestly, it is actually kind of hard to read, but I like the way it looks. That's why I have it. I don't ever use it, but it's fun. This is the one I like the most right now, because, it's easy to read. It's kind of the way I read a clock anyways, where it's kind of more of a location type thing more than it is numbers and things like that. So the other thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you how you can actually activate stuff on here, make changes, do things. You can do watch faces, edit watch faces, control what apps are on here, do the updates, things like that. You can do that from your phone, which is helpful because we've already talked about how we can make our phone easy to see. But it's also just more convenient sometimes. Okay, so now we are here on the phone, and I'm just going to show you this app because it's the Watch app, and I think on the newer iPhones it comes pre-installed, I think. But basically this app is how you pair your phone to your watch. So when you are pairing your brand new watch, you go through the steps, and then you have the ability to use this right here to kind of make whatever changes and what have you. So we see here where the face is, and you can see that these are the faces that I've already showed you on my watch. So you can see that I have them on here. And then if I want to edit, I can go there. I can either edit these specific ones, I can delete them, because sometimes I go through phases and I'll get a bunch and then I will delete them. If you look on here, you'll see that some of these menu options look the same as what we saw on the watch. You have your display and brightness, text size, bold, you have accessibilities, you have some of those same things. So this way you can come on here directly and do things that you want to do. So something I want to show you that I was talking about on the messaging on the phone or on the watch. If you come down here, you'll see the default replies. So in here is where you can actually add some additional replies that you want. These are some smart ones, but you can go ahead and add a few replies that you know you're going to need. So that's where you kind of can do that. I don't think you can do that directly on the watch. This might be one of those things you have to use the phone. So you can come directly in here, see all of your watch faces. When you look at that image, it's a little bit, and it would kind of depend on what size watch you have, but that's close to the size that the watch face is going to look. I have the bigger size watch face, so it is a little bit smaller than my physical watch, but it would give you an idea of whether or not that particular watch face is going to work. I personally do not use complications because they're a little too much on the screen. I can't really see what's happening. But you can scroll and you can see all kinds of options that they have. Okay, so if we go into, let's just pick this watch face because I was showing you this watch face on the watch. So if I tap on this, you see all of the different options you have. You have different color schemes, which I just think is great because you can just really personalize this. Purple is my color. But you also have all kinds of other options here for colors and stuff. And you can do this, you can do that, whatever is what you want. And then you just hit add if you want to add that to your watch band. I mean, to your watch directly, and that's all you have to do. It's right there. But this is really helpful because you can just see everything a lot faster. All the different things they have. So this right here is the watch face that I'm using. No, it's not. That's not the one I'm using. So just so many different options here. And then you have kind of some of these extra things over here where you can kind of, you know, really get into a little bit more information about the watch. But I just wanted to kind of show you that you can do some things. So that kind of gives you a few ideas where, you know, you can use your watch for the functionality of it, but if you want to make some of those changes and things, you can still just pick up your phone and do it on your phone. And that can be really helpful when it's a little bit of a challenge to see, or it's not so much that you can't see, it's just that's extra eye strain to be trying to do it on a small surface like that. So again, I hope this just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of whether or not an Apple Watch is going to work for you in your specific needs. And again, like I said with some of the other pieces of technology, get in there and kind of play around and explore, and you will find all kinds of neat things that you can do with your Apple Watch and ways in which you can use it to help you out. If you have any questions that I haven't really talked about in relation to vision on whether it's the desktop, whether it's the phone, the tablet, Again, kind of like I said, the tablet and the phone are going to be pretty similar in the way they do things. The desktop and the laptop are going to be pretty similar. So if you have those devices, you can kind of still use those videos to kind of give you some ideas for those particular things. So if there's anything related to Apple computers and phones, tablets, that kind of stuff that I have not talked about, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below, and I will try to answer those. If there's something that you have found that I haven't talked about, maybe that would be a help to somebody, go ahead and leave that in the comments also. Stay tuned for more blind perspectives.